Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Normally, when I come to you in the middle of the week, it's as my alter ego, the DJ. Coming to you today is me, and I will take note of the fact that I'm not wearing any logos from any of my friends in the business because I don't want my opinions that I'm going to express here in the next few minutes to be confused with any of them. What I say represents me and me only. Uh, it comes to my attention constantly, mainly because you all make it come to my attention by sending me all these texts and PMs and emails. Have you seen this? Now, those of you that know me well probably already know this. Those of you who don't should know that I have a good life because I have learned what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. And any of you that read my newspaper columns that I write every week, that I have no regard for most social media. I have no regard for most of the shit that's on the interweb. I tell people if you want to live a happy life, turn off the goddamn evening news and just enjoy your family, play guitar, go to a movie or do something like that. The world is full of people that are trying to convince you that the end is near and you just shouldn't listen to any of that. The internet, arguably one of the greatest invention of humankind, is typically used just to inflame people. You look at the people that spend all their time talking on the internet, especially the people that are talking trash. They would never say those things if they were in the same room with you. And I have a lot of personal experience with this. Look, I've been a journalist and a college professor and lots of things where, I've had a high presence for most of my adult life. And I am well aware of the concept of the person who's the badass at a distance of 600 miles, who's extremely timid when you're in the same room with them. I've seen this over and over and over again. When I was working for a motorcycle magazine down in Los Angeles, there were people that would get on our discussion forums and just trash us every time we did a review of a bike. Well, the reason the ZX10 didn't win and the Honda won is because you guys aren't man enough to ride the ZX10. That kind of stuff would come up constantly. So I talked the magazine and saying, look, what we should do is host some open track days where we go out to the track and we invite these people to come out and, hang out with us and stuff. And you could invariably tell who those people were, the few that did bother to show up, because they would be the people standing way in the back of the crowd that would run away when you walked up to introduce yourself to them. There are a bazillion people out there who are badasses when they're in their mom's basement typing on a little monochrome monitor at 3 in the morning that are not badasses in real life. So where this is all going, I think some of you probably know this. I have absolutely no regard for the people that talk shit about the tour of Idaho on the internet. I just don't. I know who a lot of those people are, and I don't care. If they had any guts, they would come and talk to me about that stuff, but they don't. And I know that there's basically two camps out there. There are these idiots up in Chalice. And you all know who I'm talking about. Now, some of those guys up there are really nice. A couple of them are pretty good friends of mine. But one of the reasons I quit doing stuff in Chalice is it's full of these people that are knuckle draggers that basically have just not evolved as fully as the rest of humanity has. A lot of them came from California to Idaho, and they brought all their California shit with them to Idaho and are now attempting to make Idaho as much of a screwed up place as the place that they left. The ability to ride a motorcycle means next to nothing to me. I know plenty of people who are brilliant motorcycle riders. I've known people who are brilliant climbers, who are brilliant musicians, who are brilliant physicists. Brilliance in a single area doesn't mean that much to me. It is, what kind of a person are you? Are you out to make the world a better place? Are you good in the pocket? Are you a pretty nice person? Would I invite you into my house and introduce you to my family and kids? If the answer to all that's yes, we're good to go. If the answer to that is no, well then, go on and hang out. There's billions of people on this planet. Find some people that you can get along with. But these idiots in Chalice that are talking trash, especially the one guy, you all know who I'm talking about because every time he saws a log, he initials it with his letters 18 inches high to convince everybody he's the only guy that saws logs in Idaho. This guy's all over the internet. He trashes the tour of Idaho. He trashes the IDPR, the people that go out and bust their asses, who saw more trees in a day than this guy does in a season. He trashes them when they go up to do maintenance on a trail. He's this California guy who just, the world revolves around him and nobody is as cool as he is. I don't know much about this guy personally. All I know is that every time I've ever met him, he's had many opportunities to express his concerns directly to me. And every time I talk to him, he's just as pleasant and as quiet as he can be. Now, he says things that are bullshit. I talked to him about trails that, we've gone in and cleared out. He goes, oh, well, we cleared that out 10 years ago. Well, that's horse shit. Nobody had ridden that trail in decades. And he's trying to claim, yeah, we ride that stuff all the time. Those guys guide illegally without permits on Forest Service land. They cut more illegal trails than they cut legal trails. Fine, go off and do all that stuff, but don't try to convince me that you are the voice of motorcycling in Idaho. You are a bitter little man who basically has nothing to do with his life outside of riding motorcycles and talking shit on the internet. You don't even have the balls to do it when you see me in person. That's what I think of you. And you know exactly who you are. You want to talk shit to me, I'm easy to find. My routine is known. I even ride alone. You and your posse can jump me if you want to. But you don't have the balls to do it. But you're not afraid to talk shit on the internet. I'm calling you out. Find me. And when you find me, we'll straighten this whole business out. All right? I'm inviting you. Come find me. Find me anytime you want. My life is very public. I'm an easy guy to look up. And if you got the balls to do it, we can straighten all this stuff out. Now, the second thing comes from these idiots who have shown up here in the past and not been able to complete a tour of Idaho. Now, some of these guys I feel bad for. There have been some tough calls. And I don't like making those tough calls, but somebody has to do it. Occasionally, people just come up short. In most of those cases, I tried to tell these people what you are doing has historically not worked. And of course, all of you that have been around for a while know how that goes. Well, of course, it'll work for me because I'm just a great rider. I've had guys show up without headlights on their motorcycles. And, stripped down bikes, no headlights, race plates and stuff still on them, and they're going to go ride 10 days and almost 2,000 miles in the woods. And I'm saying, look, this isn't going to work. And, their bike is not even detuned from racing. They bring it from the motocross track, show up, they go out, they flatten tires, they get clocked, they do all this stuff. And then they have somebody come and bring them stuff. And then they don't understand why I call them out on that. Go, well, the reason I told you couldn't do this is because you couldn't do it. You had to have some help to do this. So don't be an asshole and slag me all over the place. And despite the fact that I and others tried to tell you that you couldn't do what you said you could do, what you bragged that you could do, that's on you. That's not on any of us. We didn't tell you this isn't a good idea because we didn't want you to make it. We tried to tell you this wasn't a good idea because we wanted you to make it. You ignored it. When you do stuff like that, that's not on me. That's not on you. But yet, when I have to retire a cell phone number because you convince all of your friends to call me and text me at all hours of the day and night, people sending me death threats. If I ever see you out in the trail, I will kick your ass at 4 a.m. Again, if you had any balls, the guy that did that lives 20 minutes from me. He knows where I go every single day. He knows the gym I work out at. He knows where I go have coffee. He knows where I ride my motorcycle. That asshole could find me anytime he wants to, but he'd rather get all of his buddies at the track when they've had a little too much sauce, to sit there and dial me up on the phone. Once again, this is what I think of you. If you had any balls, you'd come see me in person, but you don't. Not only could you not do the tour of Idaho, but you don't have the balls to come see me, a 65-year-old man, but you can sure talk trash on the internet and you can talk your friends into trying to threaten me. What an asshole. That's what I think of you. Also, you guys out there that are bragging that you could do all the tour of Idaho in 3 days if the rules just would let you do it, you're so full of shit, I can't hardly believe it. Yeah, I hear all this, oh, well, girls have done it. How hard can it be? The girl that did the tour of Idaho, I'm pretty sure could throw your ass into the next time zone and maybe 2 time zones if she was throwing you in the direction of the Earth's rotation. Kids have done the tour of Idaho. Yeah, well, those kids were some pretty tough kids. I'm pretty sure they could kick your ass into a couple of different time zones too. No one gives a shit what you think, despite what you think, because you hang out with all those people in the Hoes, the Ride to Hoe group, and they all sit around and talk trash, that people agree with you. People don't agree with you. Look, have lots of friends that work in industry. And again, I'm not representing any of those people. But one of the reasons that I have a lot of friends in industry is because I've run stores before, I've run businesses, and I understand what they go through. They are forced to deal with people like you. Every day, my people that run stores, they have to deal with people that they hate because that's what's required when you run a business. You can't pick your customers. But I know some of those guys pretty well. We sit around and talk. I've talked to people that have run events all over the world, motorcycle events, music events, educational events. Everybody who has ever tried to do anything, concert promoters, people that run motorcycle races. I got a buddy in Idaho Falls that ran a brilliant race series about a decade ago in Idaho Falls. He quit nearly bankrupt, and what was worse than that was his soul got crushed just because of all the people that trashed him, and the guy didn't do anything wrong. He ran a great race series. I have friends over in Boise right now that run a race series, and I commiserate with them all the time about how hard it is to deal with assholes. Assholes. That's what a lot of you people are. Assholes. You haven't done anything yourself to make the world a better place. You haven't organized an event yourself. You haven't ever done anything. You just sit around and bitch on the internet and you think that that makes you something special. It does not. And I am inviting all of you to find me so that we can discuss this face to face. And I don't think any of you have the balls to do it. In fact, I know you don't. So, I hear all this chatter, but normally I just ignore it. But I saw something the other night. Somebody posted something on the internet about, the word out there is that these Tour of Idaho guys trash these trails. Well, that's horseshit. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, when I look around at my social media, I see all you guys out there sawing trails all over the state. I see people out there with Pulaskis pulling rocks out of trails, fixing switchbacks. We got an entire posse that's going up later on this year to work on Ant Hill and to work on the switchback leading up to Lundy Ridge to see if we can't figure out a way to stabilize that. We worked with these IDPR guys who have been great working on these trails. Those guys get trashed, by the way, by the same people that trash the Tour of Idaho. Now, that's not to say that some of these stories aren't true. There are occasionally some people, and these are all T2 people, that go out and get themselves in trouble. That's one of the reasons I resisted T2 for years, because I knew that what would happen is that the people that kind of just didn't want to follow the rules, that thought they were too cool for school, that, didn't care anything about personal safety and stuff like that, or thought they were above it, would go out and they would trash themselves. There's a lot of guys that do stuff like take bikes that are too big and trash some of these small trails. And I don't like any of that stuff either. I think that's all wrong. I don't like it when guys go out and they get in way over their head, but that's not T1 people. That's T2 people. And none of us can do anything to control people who find us on the web, right? Somebody gets a hold of those waypoints, they can go do what they want with them. It's a free country. Look, some of these people that are slagging the tour down, and look, my buddy Jeff, who runs the CAT, he's got these kind of people. The TAT guys have those kind of people. The BDR guys have those kind of people. There's always people out there that are telling you that what you're doing is somehow bad. Those people are exactly like the environmentalists that they hate because they have something in common. They want to prevent you from having fun on land that you own. As long as you're acting responsibly, you've got every bit of business out there just like anybody else. And these guys up in Chalice who are saying, hey, well, this guy, he outed our best trails. You're damn right I did. That's because that's public land. I outed my best trails down here too. Look, some of these trails might not exist were it not for the fact that they're becoming popular now and people are riding them. It's public land. You don't own it. I don't own any of these trails. Neither do any of you. They are owned by the public, including people who don't like what we do. So in some cases, it's a benefit to us to publicize these things a little bit. And just like the BDR rides, the Tour of Idaho is pretty popular with businesses along the way. It's popular with a lot of people. It's not popular with people who are competitive, which is why I don't like the race community that much. There's way too many people come out of that race community that everything's a fucking contest and I'm more cool than you are because I have more trophies. Well, that's a bunch of horse shit. You may be faster than me, but that doesn't mean anything about you being cooler than me or more accomplished than me or anybody else. Racing is its own little deal. I have raced myself. I've had some success in it. when I won a race or finished last, and I've done both, it never made me feel any different as a human being. It isn't. Human beings are complex and they are amalgamations of lots of things, and your place in a motorcycle race is a small part of all that. So you trying to convince me you have a bigger say in our sport just because you won a trophy at the Bumfuck International doesn't influence me in the least bit. I think you were a joke. And once again, when you do all that stuff on the internet and you won't do it in person, this is what I think of you. Sorry, Carrie. All right, I told you a rant was coming, and I told you it was not safe for work. I told you to hide the kids. This is the only time I'm going to address this. So you all stop sending me this shit because I don't care about it. I am vaguely aware of it. Every once in a while, somebody sends me something that I do kind of need to see. But most of that is just people griping on the internet. And look, I follow my own advice. I don't pay any attention to that stuff. My life is not defined by what people in motorcycle world think about me. My life is defined by what my friends and people I respect think about me. And I'm doing all right by that regard. I don't give a shit about anybody else. I used to tell people when I was teaching at college, I would tell these young professors that would come in, do not read your teaching evaluations. Not until you've been around for a few years. After a few years, you can sit around and read them and they'll be all right. But your first few years, the last thing you want to do is read your evaluations, and especially for classes where you thought you did a really good job. Those are the worst ones. Now, very few of those people would ever follow that advice, and you'd see those people, and they would look so sad. It looked like they wanted to jump out a window after they read that stuff. And the hell of it is, most of the evaluations would be fine. Most students are actually pretty good. If you're any kind of a decent teacher, most students are pretty good about that. But you got a class of 150 people. I guarantee you there's going to be 10 people in there that are going to light you up. And it doesn't matter whether you were good or bad. They're going to light you up because their perception of you is based on their lack of effort. So, I just don't pay any attention to that stuff. Again, most of these people have terrible lives. If they had any kind of a real life, if you have a family, if you have friends, if you have things that motivate you and you're passionate about and they bring you joy, you don't spend all of your time on the internet talking trash about people. You don't spend all your time writing letters to the editor and stuff like that because you have better things to do. Don't pay attention to people like that. I do not. So don't feel bad for me because I don't pay attention to any of that kind of stuff. So there you go. I hope we've cleared the air this year. I appreciate you all trying to say, hey, have you seen this? But I really don't give a shit, okay? That's why I'm pretty good at this job because I don't care. I do the best I can do, and if that's not good enough, then you find somebody else that'll go do it. Good luck with that. All right, rant over. Now, while I got you all here, I see we actually have a pretty good audience. I want to remind everybody I'm going to make some changes to day 2. Nothing that's going to disadvantage anybody. In fact, it's going to make the day a little bit shorter. Lead draw is not going to be open, and instead of making you figure out the workaround yourself, I'm just going to publish a workaround. So I'll redo day 2. I'll talk about that next Monday night. And we're going to redo the challenge section too, because we can actually work in a little bit cooler challenge section while we do that. Progress on the mystery routes in the desert's going great. I've got many of them done already. I'll have them all done by the time July 15th rolls around. So day 2, look forward to some changes. Everybody's in the calendar. I keep getting these PMs from people. It's kind of funny because I go looking for them, and most people are saying, yep, I checked the calendar, and it's fine. But I'm still getting PMs from people that say I don't see my name in a calendar or the calendar won't open for me. I don't know why the calendar won't open for you. It's opening for other people. But when you go in there, sometimes you have to scroll down a little bit. I've seen that happen a lot where people just open it up and they go, well, on this day I'm not there. Well, if you'd scroll down a little bit farther, you would have seen it. You just might be at the bottom. It's easy to miss. All right. Thanks, everybody. You're right. I was a little bit fired up. This is kind of stewed for a while. And again, normally I don't pay any attention to this, and I really don't. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. I'm not the least bit bothered by any of this. I take all this for what it's worth. Look, I was a scientist for 25 years, and you get lit up professionally all the time. I've been a musical performer for 2 decades. And, try playing jazz music at the Dewdrop Inn sometime. You're going to get it all. Thank thank you, but I'm just fine. That's one of the reasons I dissolved the Toricles. I just didn't want to drag any of those people into this stuff. They don't need it, and it doesn't bother me. So I do what I'm going to do. And once again, all of you that are out there sawing trail and doing stuff like that, I see you on social media. I see people all over the state sawing trails. I see some of the stuff in the forum where you guys are talking about, yeah, we did this section of trail, we went in, brushed it, sawed all that. You guys are not doing anything wrong to these trails. You're being good stewards of your resource. I know climbers that used to do that, that would go in and take plastic bags and clean up crap and stuff that was dropped off big walls. Most people are that way. Most people are actually pretty good in the pocket. It's just a few people out there that are asshats. And I'm calling them out. I'm an easy person to find. You come see me. I'm your huckleberry. All right, you guys, I'll see you later.